Hello, everybody, and welcome to Miskatonic University Radio, a podcast and live stream exploring fantasy flight games as Arkham Horror, the card game. I'm Dane.
I'm Dan.
I'm Ben.
And today, we're going to be exploring Arkham Horror's vast universe of creative deck building possibilities by checking out some decks that have piqued our interest over on arkhamdb. And we have a very special guest to do that with us today. It's our friend Colin, champion of weird decks, ugly but nutritious vegetables, and the last living descendant of the Edsley clan. Colin, welcome to the cast.
Glad to be here. I'm Colin, the fourth player who was occasionally mentioned, but
The legend.
To show
You accompanied us to Arkham Nights, and you played the Keeper's Nightmare with us. So that was a heck of an experience.
It's true.
I did. It was disastrous, and we died, but it was fun.
And you even made it back home afterwards, which was challenging, surprisingly. But yeah, that was it. Those are some fun times.
Yeah, it was rough. I feel like this is sort of like revealing the last Exodia card. That's Colin. Colin is the last Exodia card of Miskatonic University Radio. Well, anyway,
Dane gets mad at me whenever I bring up Magic the Gathering, but you're just allowed to drop a Yu-Gi-Oh thing, and that's okay. Whatever, it's fine. Keep moving.
maybe we'll get some Yu-Gi-Oh viewers and listeners coming in. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
Convert them over to Arkham Horror, the card game.
I'm constantly confused that like Yu-Gi-Oh is like still a game that people play. I didn't die out a long time ago, but
Hey, see, Sultry's here, and they're a Yu-Gi-Oh viewer.
So we got Colin here. What are we doing this episode? What are we gonna do?
So we wanted to take a look at some interesting high concept decks submitted by users on arkhamdb recently to maybe not so recently. And then we're going to be sharing a brand new card from the upcoming expansion, the Scarlet Keys, as some might know, that FFG gave us a review. And then finally, we're going to be enlisting Colin to help us build an interesting new deck with this very interesting and exciting new card.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, so why don't we jump into it? So I have the decks pulled up on arkhamdb. I just have to press the right button here. Hooray! All right. So, before we start, so I'm gonna kind of summarize the deck. I'm not gonna actually read it, and then we're talking about it for like 6-ish minutes, and then Colin's gonna give it a judgment using his vegetable knowledge of 1 to 5 cabbages. Right? Do we want to do 6 minutes? I forgot to ask before we started.
So 5 cabbages being a great deck, 1 cabbage being a not so great deck. Is that the rating scale?
Yeah.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense.
All right. So this first deck is by Dr. Makito. That sounds right.
Makakito, I think.
Makakito, I think, yeah.
Makito. He calls it Stealthy Knife Skids. This whole deck is built around basically level 3 stealth. And
which, if anyone happens to for some reason doesn't remember what level 3 stealth does, it is an asset. It's a talent that you play it, and as a fast trigger, you can exhaust it to evade an enemy with a bonus, basically. And if you succeed, you disengage from it, but you don't actually exhaust it. So it kind of evades it just for you, sort of.
Sort of.
Well, you get to do it as a fast trigger, which is nice.
Which is the important part, right? Yeah.
So how does this work? Like, why is this deck playing stealth, and what is it giving us?
So the idea is this is a deck that's like I think mostly targeted towards solo, but I think could also work in like lower player counts and multiplayer. So the idea is you combo stealth. You use stealth basically to evade whatever enemy you drew during the Mythos phase. And then you try to make use of that enemy with other cards that benefit from having an enemy location to get clues, or combo it with ways to like kill the enemy passively, either like using Alice Luxley, because you discover a clue after you disengage the enemy and you do damage to it, or like doing some stuff with like Delilah to ping it for damage while its evade is lowered, or you use passive things like a survival knife, or it's not passive, but things that trigger during the enemy phase to actually kill the enemy. So the idea is you can deal with enemies without spending actual actions, so you can spend your actual actions to get clues. which is how you win the game most of the time. So they have a bunch of different combos on here that seemed fun. Like they combo it, you evade it during your turn. I guess the key thing with stealth is it is just during your turn, so it will re-engage you at the beginning of enemy phase. So that's why you can like trigger survival knife on it to kill it off, or counterpunch was another card they have in here, which can be fun. What's the higher level counterpunch?
I don't see it.
I think it's like counterpunch would be an upgrade, maybe.
Yeah, sorry. They have it listed as one of the suggestions that you could swap in, not necessarily in the base deck here. But yeah, counterpunch, even counterpunch level 2, which is like 2 damage or enemy phase, could be pretty strong with that. And then obviously it also triggers stuff like Lucky Cigarette Case and pickpocketing, things that trigger off of evading to give you bonuses, or just passing your test by a lot. And because stealth lowers the difficulty of the test by 2, it can be pretty easy to trigger a cigarette case.
Yeah, I mean we've seen like how strong pickpocketing can be in like a Fin deck, right? Where you get to trigger it without spending like a real action. This would kind of give you the same benefit with the additional bonus that you're getting a -2 on the enemy's evade difficulty, so you're more likely to succeed by 2. So if you have cigarette case and say 1 pickpocketing out, you would evade an enemy, and if you succeed by 2, which you hopefully do, you would get 2 cards and a resource, which is pretty nice.
It's pretty nice. Yeah, totally. I think that stealth, like, the first thing that pops into my mind is, like, you're able to... It's a lot of action compression, right? Like, it's just... It's sort of taking the issue that evade presents, which is that the enemy's just going to come back next turn. But since this is a free action, you don't actually have to worry about it, unless you fail, of course. But we're not talking about those circumstances. We're talking about the cool things that you can do with stealth, like if you even just nimble, right? You can just disengage it, and then it'll leave, and then you just jet out.
Yeah, if it's an enemy you don't care about killing, you can nimble away. These are combos where, like, if it's a hunter, you can let it hunt during the enemy phase and hunt onto you. Like, you move to a location that has clues, you let it hunt onto you, and then you kill it with survival knives, and you use like evidence to pick up the clues or something. So yeah, that makes it pretty fun.
If you use survival knife and counterpunch, you can just potentially kill the enemy before it actually damages you.
Right.
Exactly.
And you could even they suggest using double survival knife, so you can potentially do 4 damage with each 2 damage with each survival knife attack, and then if you don't kill it somehow, you can then counterpunch it to do extra damage. So
totally. And I know Captain Farnese in chat is a huge fan of double survival knives on anything that can carry survival knives.
I've never gone full double survival knife, but this seems like a fun way to try that out. So
Colin, do you have any initial thoughts on this deck? Does this seem like if you had to play a Skids deck, would this be a fun way to do it? What do you think?
I was kind of like initially hesitant about like using stealth and letting the enemy attack you anyway. But I mean, you've got nimble to evade it and then move somewhere else if it's too tough or you don't want to get clues to location. You've got your survival knives and counter punches to hopefully kill it before it attacks you. This is janky, but it's pretty good.
It is, like, I gotta say, when I first looked at this, if you had just pitched it to me like, oh, I'm bringing a stealth Skids deck, I would have just rolled my eyes and been like, okay, great. But like, I mean, I don't think I'd play this in like a hard mode multiplayer deck maybe, but I mean, this looks kind of relatively decent, right? Like, especially for solo, it seems like you have most of the tools that you need, right?
Yeah, I mean, this one's definitely tailored a little more towards solo than I think some of the other decks we're gonna look at today are. Just because, like, being able to, when you draw an enemy in solo and have it effectively not cause you to lose any actions to deal with it, that's great, right? Which I think is the idea here, because you disengage it and you kill it during enemy phase, or passively with like Alice or Delilah, and
I would
focus on.
I am maybe a little bit concerned about, like, if you just don't draw enemies for a few turns, are most of the cards in your deck kind of useless, and are you just really bad at getting clues? Because you're sort of bad at getting clues unless you're doing things like evidence or scene of the crime and things like that, right?
Yeah, it is focused on benefiting from enemies to get clues. I guess you could like throw on the hunt level 0 on the hunt in here if you really want to get an enemy out. You also could sacrifice the survival knives and like get some lockpicks going.
I do.
But,
I also I hate to be that guy, but if you really want to play a stealth solo deck, I wonder if Trish is just a way better home for it, because I feel like with like if you just decide I'm not going to kill things, or I'm going to play like a couple of doorknobs or whatever instead of like the whole survival knife Alice package, like I wonder if you could just be a lot more efficient with that sort of Trish deck. But that's sort of a different thing. Like that doesn't mean this deck is bad.
yeah,
Yeah.
that would be more focused on like purely getting clues and not helping with enemies at all, or barely using it. So I think this is pretty neat. You also could swap out. There are some like basic skill cards in here, so you could swap those out if you want some extra ways to get clues, or extra ways to focus on passing other
I
types
feel
of
like
tests.
the question is, how does this Skids deck do against like generic bad encounter cards, like that do
Very
bad?
very badly.
You gotta like take the
Well,
initiative.
he's got to take the initiative and unexpected courages, so that can beef up his lower willpower. I forget what on the lam does. I don't know. Does he commit on the lam? But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, basically.
I think it's neat. I wonder if they thought about
On the line.
what level's upgraded on the hunt. It's level 3, so Skids can't take
Level
it.
3.
But
Yeah.
I don't think you should really get on the hunt just to like. I don't think it's worth it.
Especially the level 0 version.
All right, fair enough.
I
Well,
think if you don't get an enemy, you just use your like base 3 investigate to just find clues or whatever.
It's also 4 with Alice, right?
Yeah, that's true. One thing that I think we would maybe do differently. I mean, we're big fans of Faustian Bargain on this podcast, so like I see the 2 emergency caches here, and I think like I feel like if one of us was taking this for a spin, those would probably end up becoming devil money cards. But other than that, I mean, it's kind of hard to like pick out something that really you'd want to change about this.
I agree. Faustian Bargain is great. It's a good card.
it's good. It's good
Really
stuff. So
good.
Colin, so we're over time. Colin, how many cabbages do you rate this deck?
I think this is a solid 3 cabbages. It's pretty good.
3 cabbages.
Nice.
But
3 out of 5 cabbages.
It's pretty solid.
For
All right.
season
Love
2.
it.
Why don't we go on to the next deck then? Let me
Let's do
set my cabbage meter here. All right. So, were you gonna summarize this one, Dane? Or you want me to do it?
Yeah. So this is a deck by Cherubeam, which is a person who I know and hangs out in our Discord server and is a generally pretty cool person. They produce a lot of content. And this deck is all about using everybody's favorite investigator, Duke, with our favorite guy, new Seeker Ally anyway, from Edge of the Earth, Jeremy. Jeremy Zwern, aka Jeremiah Kirby. And the whole idea is that you have Jeremiah give you just a filthy amount of value through just playing him, naming odd, getting all of these wonderful odd cards in your hand, and then killing him, and then chance encountering him. And normally a chance encounter can just bring something out for like, a quick like, oh, if maybe you're using it on an art student if you're min or something like that to pick up a clue without using an action like that. But for Jeremiah, he's going to get you probably 4 or 5 cards because the entire deck is built around pulling up odd cards. And there's a lot of like nuances that Cherubeam kind of makes note of in the deck notes that we're not really going to get too much into, just because there's like, well, you can't run into the second copy of your Jeremiah Kirby, but that's good because you're playing Calling in Favors and you want to fish him out super cheap. So there's 4 ways to get a Jeremy down with just 1 resource, which is pretty cool, and you get to just churn through your deck as fast as some of the fastest investigators and folks in Arkham. So I think it's a pretty cool, pretty fun deck.
is this also a solo deck? I see a lone wolf here.
It looks kind of solo-ish, but maybe
it's tagged as both. I mean,
I mean,
some people play Lone Wolf outside of solo and just spend the entire game yelling at people to not be on their space at the beginning of their turn. So
It's
that doesn't.
it usually works out pretty well, I gotta say. Unless someone tries to play safeguard for some dumb reason, but no. But I think I mean, yeah, like we often say that Ashcan is like the quintessential like intended for solo, really not intended for like group play investigator. But
oh yeah,
you could fit him in there if you really wanted to. I like this a lot because I've been playing a lot of sort of like green yellow Jeremiah decks where everything is even. Like I've been playing like Trish or
yeah.
Monterey Jack decks where like every single card just about except for a couple is even. So you always play Jeremy, you always say even, you usually get like 4 or 5 cards. I've wondered, what would it look like if you try to do the same with odd cards? Obviously Jeremiah himself is even, but that's okay. You have room to have like a couple cards in your deck that are not odd costs. So I think this is cool because it's the first one of those that I've seen.
Yeah.
It's definitely very different.
I mean, the fact that he's even benefits this deck because the idea is you don't want to draw him because you want to calling him favors him
Right.
at a reduced cost. So
Well, that's one thing that is missing from the even versions. Is you don't play calling in favors in those, and calling in favors is very strong with Jeremy. So that's pretty cool. I do have some questions about some of these though. I mean, I think I get the idea of the deck and it seems neat, but I'm curious about why there's so many one ofs. Like for instance, if Dark Horse is like it seems like Dark Horse is a big deal in this deck. Why not play 2 copies of Dark Horse just to get
I
just to
think
get it
it
out sooner?
I think the idea is
can be.
you're recurring Jeremy so much. Like most of these one ofs are assets. You'll need one of them. I think the idea is like you don't want the double copies.
Yeah.
Because they
Yeah,
have
it's kind of like a toolbox, right? Because you can churn through your deck so fast,
Of course.
you can just kind of pick things out that you need.
I guess I just like it seems like if you do have a slow start, if you just happen to not mulligan into any allies or you don't find a calling in favors, like you have because you have 2 copies of calling in favors and you have 2 Jeremys. If you don't hit one of those, are you just kind of screwed? Like honest question, I don't know.
Well, I think that's kind of, if you're thinking about it as like a solo versus multiplayer deck, that's like where, I mean, obviously Duke is top dog in solo, right? So like Duke can do all the things anyway. Like he's kind of just like really solid in solo, and the Kirby engine thing is kind of like icing on the cake to like get him to like overperform and maybe even like push him into the late game with being able to kill like super end game bosses with like recurring ice picks and all the fire action shenanigans and stuff like that, is what I'm guessing anyway.
Yeah, sure.
But,
All I'm asking is like, would the deck be a little bit more? Would it be a little more reliable with a couple more like the important assets? You maybe play 2 of them, or is it really true that just because you have Duke as a backup, you just don't really care? And maybe, I don't know. I think you have to play it to see.
I think the very funny suggestion in chat is if you're desperate for Kirby, do you calling in favors Duke?
Oh, I love it. That's great.
oh no.
Man, that's really funny.
So I forgot to set the timer
Duke
again, but call it. What are your thoughts on this? And then why don't you give us a cabbage rating?
There's a lot of cards that cost 1. You're using Dark Horse. It kind of feels like you're trying to have it both ways, and maybe Dark Horse shouldn't be in the deck. But
That's a good point.
I really like the deck. I think it's almost perfect. I think we got 4 cabbages here.
4 cabbages. It's a pretty good rating.
That is a good point though. Like that's kind of one of the reasons why why when I saw Jeremy, I immediately thought, oh, an all evens deck, because 0 is an even number, and one is a pretty good number. 1 is like the best odd number in this case, but 0 is a much better number than 1. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, yeah, there's ways around it, right?
I mean, basically, almost all these cards cost 1. There's 1 or 2 of them that cost more. So I think like you have the Lone Wolf and the Dark Horse, you get the 2 money, and then you like immediately spend it to play something out or use it up. So like it might not have it online all the time, but I think you can benefit enough from it. Plus, you have prophetic, yeah, in the deck to help pay for some of your events. Because I think these are all fortune events, maybe, or spirits. So.
And prophetic lets you spend like the.
You get like a recurring 2 money. You get a recurring 2 money you can use on fortune, spell, or spirit cards, and you can spend that to like boost your skill value, like when you play those cards.
Well, and speaking of boosting skill value, we haven't really talked much about cornered, but notice that's a card that even though it has an even cost is in here. I think that shows how important it is. And if you're drawing this many cards by recurring Jeremy, then cornered is going to be really nasty.
Yeah,
so that's cool.
I mean, there's a decent number of cards here that like benefit from pulling stuff out of the discard pile. So like you can cornered some of your expensive assets or pull them back. Or, excuse me, you can corner it out like Moonstone or like Winging It or something to put in your discard pile and then play it with the better benefit from them. So
I'm not exactly scavenging in the deck. It's a card.
Yeah,
Scavenging Ice Pick is a ridiculous combo in any deck. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 out of 5 cabbages, right, Colin?
Yeah.
4 out of 5 cabbages for sure.
All right, what's should we move on to the next deck? Are we satisfied with this one?
Yes. So turn my timer back on.
Oh, Sultry says it's not both ways. You take the resource always during upkeep and spend it via Alter Fate, Test of Will, Chance Encounter when you first get a chance. That makes sense. Also, cornering all the Doyle cats, that's pretty neat because they can come back in from the discard pile.
Yeah.
A lot of value.
It also,
back into one deck.
Yeah.
All right, why don't we take a look at the next deck? So, I don't know if we mentioned it, but we'll link these all in the blog post and in like the YouTube video and stuff if people aren't able to find them based on the names or whatever. But this one is called Daniela Damage Bender Doom Remover. It's a deck guide by Valentine 1331. They've done a bunch of like starter decks and like interesting build decks that on arkhamdb. I've found a bunch of them. We just kind of picked one that seemed cool. The main gist of this one is it focuses on utilizing Aquinnah, I think is how you say her name, and using her trigger, which the upgraded version, level 3 version, whenever an enemy attacks you, you can exhaust her. She'll take a horror and that enemy will deal damage to itself. In addition to comboing with Daniela's natural ability of when enemies attack her, she can react to either deal damage or evade them. And then there's
which is fun because I think when we initially reviewed Daniela when she first came out, that was one of the kind of slightly more off the wall suggestions that we said was like, oh, maybe this would be an interesting deck to try Aquinnah in, which is a card that we all forgot about after the core set, basically. So
she's the forgotten daughter.
Yeah, so it's neat to see someone really run with that and like make a deck that's like really trying to get the most out of that card.
Yeah, so the whole deck is kind of focused on either stuff that like reacts to Daniel taking damage. So there's other stuff like Guard Dog in here, or if needed, there's stuff like dodging, like it dodges or flesh wards to absorb extra damage, and then like bandages to heal and whatnot. Or it has stuff for soaking and healing, like keepsakes or Hollowed Mirror, other stuff like that. So she can spend. She does like most of her damage basically from things attacking her, which is kind of that's kind of the whole focus of Diana. And this is kind of deck I think I want to try out. I know when I played a Diana, I think I just went heavy into what was it, Sledgehammer and Sledgehammer things mostly. Daniela, yeah.
The bad hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The please shortcut me hammer.
The weapon we have is the wrench here.
Yeah, there's no weapons other than the one that is included with her. Which, I mean, that by itself is a very strong weapon, and if she's trying to force enemies to attack her every turn anyway and deal passive damage, then that's great.
But it is surprising that there's not like some other random weapon in there just as like a backup, but yeah, maybe you don't need it.
Well, this is the level 0 deck. Like, there's some suggested upgrades like Fire Extinguisher and like Brute Force to do extra damage when you hit something. I guess that's it for weapons suggested. So, but she already has Vicious Blows. So
I think it looks like the idea is to kind of morph into like a Deja Vu deck later and use like Burn After Reading and Fortune or Fate and stuff like that. And obviously a Fire Extinguisher, you absolutely need to use it, but like I've always been interested in those sorts of like ideas and decks, and I've built a couple Survivor decks to try and figure out like how to navigate Deja Vu. But I like the idea that Burn After Reading, like once you're at the last scenario, you can just like exile cards with impunity and get a lot of value out of just like removing doom from things, which is really powerful. So yeah.
Oh yeah, and Captain Farnes points out that Enchanted Blade is in there too. Like you don't see it
Oh,
because
yeah.
it doesn't go in the hand slot,
Yeah.
but so that that is the other weapon.
Mm.
That is, I feel like that's now maybe like the most commonly played weapon in the game. Weirdly, at least for
Yeah.
Guardians, like
It's like
I feel like
Machete 2.0, right?
it is really good, and it's a more interesting card than Machete, but like every deck plays it in a good way. Like it's a good card.
So we've got Deja Vu, but we don't have Test of Will in here to like get your like ancient evils and stuff out.
Yeah, Test of Will might be pretty good, right?
Yeah, what's your will for? Yeah, so
Yeah.
like even the upgraded ones that could help. That could be something else to target. Yeah, I mean, I think the deck, like once it's fully upgraded, I think is still fairly low experience. I don't remember if that was listed here. Oh, geez, there's lots of stuff here.
Yeah, I think Deja Vu is like the most expensive thing, right? Because that's like it looks like Daniela changes the Matrix, making black cats appear and dooms disappear. That's like very much leaning towards like late. You're gonna want a Deja Vu. You're gonna want to use like all the cool like exile cards.
Yeah, here's the full
Other
XP
than that,
version. I just pulled it up. So it's
Cool.
only 35 experience. Assuming you don't have to spend extra experience on exiling, which the Deja Vu is supposed to help with that. But then, like, if you get more experience, they do suggest going Test of Will and Alter Fate to do even more control of the encounter deck and Doom. So, I think it's pretty neat. Oh man, they get Bangle Jinxes in here. That wasn't listed on the original deck.
Bangle the
Bangle
Jinxes.
We love that.
Yeah.
We love that Bangle Jinxes.
No, I mean
So,
that's really solid. That's very fun for Daniela.
yeah.
I gotta say, I mean, yeah, this definitely seems fun, and I would defer to Ben because I know he's played Daniela, so he's better suited to like assess this. I would love to get Test of Will in here because that just seems like, I mean, she has the 4 will and she has the Deja Vu to like rebuy it if she needs to.
Exactly.
But that I just think that would be like a pretty straight upgrade over something like Take Heart or even like Glory. Like I know that those are giving you some very limited card draw when you don't really have access to like really great card draw in these colors, but I would love to get some Test of Will in here.
Yeah, I mean, it could also depend on your player count too. Like Test of Will is not. I don't know if Test of Will is as good in like solo because you don't draw through the whole encounter deck as much in solo, so you might not even hit like Ancient Evils or whatever other badge card you're worried about. But I could see depending on your comp pulling that in. Like this is just a suggested path. They actually go into a lot of detail of different options on the guide. This is like a very thorough guide.
I
I'd
noticed
recommend
one
people
of
check it
them
out.
is the Lonnie plus Heavy Furs combo that Dane likes. Is one of the things that they suggest as a possibility.
It's
Oh, yeah.
always good. I don't think it'll ever be bad.
Yeah, they're worried about it because they don't have too much of a draw engine, so you'd have to take some stuff out. So
Before we consult Colin for a cabbage, I was trying to think of a word that starts with C that means like rate the deck, but I have one last thing to ask, which is serious question. How good do you guys think it is to be able to like just roll back Doom like multiple times in a scenario? Like we talk a lot about like warding Ancient Evils is really good, but I don't think any of us has ever played a deck where you're trying to just like remove Doom consistently multiple times in every scenario. Like, would that open up possibilities? Like, could other people play differently and make the game easier or make it go better? Or do you think there's a risk that we would just like finish things early and not need it?
I think we've played some rolling back Doom stuff before, but I don't know if we've ever gone too heavy into it. It gives you a little bit of a buffer, and some scenarios are like very tight. I think
That's
especially
true.
in some of the later campaigns we've played, they're a lot tighter. Some of the earlier
Like,
ones, I think, we like.
Like Search for Kadath, if you could buy yourself an extra couple of turns, you would love to do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, there's a lot of scenarios where like the next step of difficulty hinges off of like advancing from agenda 1 to agenda 2, right? Like there's a lot of agendas or things like Search for Kadath where it's like I need to have like one more turn, and if I could have 2, that would be just like fantastic, but ultimately, like our sort of experience is exactly what Sultry's is, who says I'd rather loop Watchful Peace than Doom removal, but I guess we got that patched, so this is what we have.
Didn't I play? Was that what I played in the Daniela deck? Yeah, I looped that shirt over and over again, and it made it very easy.
Well, the really bonkers shirt deck was Ben's Silas deck that did that, but you could do it in other things too.
Yeah. So all right, Colin.
the Doom removal cards do exile, but Deja Vu is purchased so that you can kind
Right.
of have
Get
that
them-
bit of a discount.
And,
And like
and
her
the
weapons are like pretty solid anyway. Like Fire
and
Extinguisher is just a super reliable weapon. So
and it's like a low XP deck. So once you have the basics upgraded, you would have XP with Deja Vu to just keep rebuying the Doom rollback
exactly.
cards every scenario.
Yeah.
Colin, what do you think about this deck? How many cabbages do you want to assign to this deck?
I mean, like, Fortunate Fate is more applicable than Test of Will. I maybe Test of Will should still be in this deck, but I think we got it's a good deck. 3 cabbages.
3 cabbages.
3 cabbages.
All right.
I like it.
Nice.
Pretty good cabbage rating. All right, why don't we
Pretty good.
go on to the next deck then? So this is called Patrice Hathaway Slays the Spire. It's for hard mode. It's by German Joey.
I know that game.
So the idea with this is that we run Patrice, and it uses Mind's Eye, which, as a reminder, Mind's Eye is an asset that takes up 2 arcane slots, costs 2 XP, and has 3 secrets on it. And when you would test anything or any of the skills other than Will, you can spend a secret to test Will instead. And it's a myriad card, so you can get 3 copies of it for basically 2 experience, and then you can also discard copies from your hand to add 2 secrets back onto Mind's Eye. So the whole idea with this deck, I believe, is there's a very big graphic here of some very scary bears, but
Parental advisory.
yeah, yeah, the idea is you basically use Mind's Eye to do like any test with your willpower, and you boosted your willpower a little bit by using Cornered and Moonstone, and then it runs a whole bunch of events, which is pretty typical for Patrice because she dumps a whole land every turn, but it also runs on your own, so at least all of her Survivor events are like 2 cheaper, so a lot of them are basically free. I think all of the ones in here are free actually. Oh, not Trial by Fire, but yeah, so I mean, yeah, that's the whole idea. Is like you use Mind's Eye, comboed with like maybe Cornered if needed to like pass any test, and then you use your events to like increase your efficiency. So there's things like Look What I Found, or Drawn to the Flames, or Read the Signs, Special Laser, that stuff to blow things up.
Yeah. I mean, the other cool part about the deck is that it makes extensive use of improvised weapon and winging it with the exceptional on your own, right? So you never have to pay resources if you're using it just once a turn, but you are consistently doing pretty solid, like 2 damage, getting 2 clues, and then transferring that into your will, which makes it actually pretty reliable, right? Because you've got a Moonstone that you're going to discard and Patrice is just going to have, and then you've got your 4 of Cups. So you're going to be up at 6, and then you can convert the improvised weapon and winging it tests to will, which is pretty good, honestly.
I do have a quick question for Rules Master Ben. I noticed that Rise to the Occasion is in this deck, right? So it's 3 wild symbols, but you can only commit it to a skill test you're performing if the difficulty is at least 2 higher than your base skill value. So I assume the reason that's in here is you could do, say, a combat test, commit Rise to the Occasion, and then trigger Mind's Eye to turn it into a will test, and you'd still get the symbols. Is that how this would work?
Let's see, what does Mind's Eye do? Mind's Eye changes it to a willpower test, so I don't think that works. I think Rise of the Occasion is as a backup for if you don't have your Mind's Eye online.
Okay.
Or if it runs out of charges, maybe.
Yeah,
I guess that makes sense.
I mean, there's stuff to refill charges, like you're cycling your deck every 7 turns or whatever, and you haven't Enraptured.
I guess that's how Mind's Eye work, is you don't just get to like trigger that at some point when you're doing a test, when you're deciding what to commit. You have to do it right when you initiate the test, right? Because otherwise you could do weird stuff like commit something when it's a book test and then turn it into a will test, and then are those icons still committed? So it seems like you can't have it both ways. You have to decide when you're beginning to do the test whether you want to make it into a will test or not.
Yeah. But like a lot of these cards for committing are if you don't want to turn dual test, like Promise of Powers, Rise of the Occasion, and then you have your Cornered to throw away whatever you want to give yourself another +2. So, yeah.
What do you guys think about Open Gate in Patrice? I think we I think we respect Open Gate as like a very strong card in a lot of scenarios, but it is a little bit tricky to play it in Patrice because you sort of only have one chance to play it when you draw it, and you might not be in the location where you want to play it. I mean, I think I'm not saying it's bad to play it in Patrice, but like, would you guys keep that in there, or would you sub it out for something else?
Yeah, my experience was it was hard to pull off, but I haven't played Patrice too much, so is there a way to recur it out of the graveyard or something, or is she just forced to play it when she draws it out?
I was gonna say if there's like a resourceful or something, but resourceful I don't think gives you will, so that would be kind of weird with the whole Mind's Eye theme. So I think that it's just if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't.
Doesn't resourceful only get you a red card as well?
But you're right. Yeah.
I mean,
but
it'd be scavenge.
It's also, the thing is, you need to find 40 cards, which is a lot, and it's a reasonable. I think it's reasonable to put 3 of them in there, and maybe you just chuck them away to cornered or something. So
yeah, like they're there if you need them. Depending on the scenario, you might like drop 1/1 into the board if you luck out with your timing. It is in their category of like extra utilities, because basically the meat of the deck is the Mind's Eye, and everything else here is just like they call it grease to make it kind of run smoother. So
I might I mean, this is sort of similar to what I said about one of those other decks, but I might play a second cornered and a second moonstone though, if it was me.
Yeah, I don't.
The second cornered, yeah.
Cornered. I think you need a second cornered for this deck.
Yeah.
I mean this is like the basic XP, right? Of 11. So
sure.
This is the minimum requirements to get the deck running. So
Right.
I imagine you get cornered, you get more moonstones, you get Relic Hunter. Actually, did they have an experience section? I don't remember if this one did. Yeah, they have a couple suggestions. Oh yeah, they go for Yuka Catastrophe and Ultra Fate because you can cycle them through your deck relatively easily and pull them back. But yeah, they talk about like Test of Wills in here and Strokes of Luck, Moonstone plus Relic Hunter, all that jazz. So yeah, it seems neat. When was the last time you played Patrice? It might have been at like Arkham Knights 2019, and it got wrecked by Jeremy. But I don't remember. I don't know if I've played it. If I've played with people playing her, but yeah.
Yeah.
People
are saying Rise to the Occasion is an emergency panic button for Watcher, and for me, I was thinking, wait, isn't that the thing from the Circle Undone? But no, it is her weakness.
Yeah, Watcher.
I clearly also have not played her in a minute.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because you want to have, because like I've been playing Trish recently, and it's a sort of a similar thing where like the Shadow Agents, you don't really know when it's going to come out, and you can definitely deal with it as long as you have like a big chunky agility card to commit to it, or some like card that can deal with it. So you always want to have that card in hand when you draw it. And I think Patrice is the same way with the Watcher.
Yeah, so having more skill cards in here gives her extra protection. That makes sense. All right, Colin, what do you think of this deck?
I think we're going with a 2.5 cabbages. We'll round up to 3.
Colin, I don't have a 2.5 cabbages graphic prepared, so I need only whole cabbages, please.
You should have prepared better, Ben. Half a cabbage is a long cabbage.
I thought about it, but then I would have had to prepare like 5 more graphics, and that would have been a lot of work, Colin. So three cabbages.
I want to point out before we move on is folks in chat are talking about having Mind's Eye be sort of a vehicle for burn after reading, because it only takes you 2 XP to get 3 copies of a level 2 card, and burn after reading, if you exile a level 2 card along with it, you get the doom removal bonus as in addition to the 2 clues. So like I feel like anyway, Sultry was kind of talking with me about this earlier, and it's like you really do just get value. Like that's the most value I think that you could get out of burn after reading in terms of like XP for exile ratio maybe. So I thought that was kind of neat, and you could always do that on the scenario, right? When you know it's the last scenario, throw in 2 burn after readings, and then you can just get things gone, which is really neat. So yeah,
that's a good point.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's a neat
I was curious if Deja Vu worked on like the random cards you exile after reading, but it does, because it doesn't require them to actually be exile cards. It's just that you had to have exiled them. So
yes. Yeah.
I have one last question again, because I don't think I played Patrice really. Is Last Chance is that a good card in Patrice, or is it seems like it would be good, but it's always very frustrating it doesn't work card? Because your hand has to be like mostly empty for it to be good, right?
Yeah, it's very good.
Okay.
If you've got 2 cornered, it's very good.
Yeah, like
Oh,
if,
yeah.
if you have 2 cornered, you can
Exactly.
definitely
That's the
dump
thing.
your hand to like get that last chance bonus going. So I think it's solid.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
Sure, yeah.
This one seems really fun. I think like the only thing I would try to do is fit a second Moonstone, a second cornered, but like other than that, it just seems really solid. And I'm impressed because Mind's Eye is a card that like when it came out, I think we looked at it and we were like, I don't know about this, but I mean, if you
Hey, I
want to play
love
Mind's
Mind's Eye.
Eye, well, okay, Dane likes it, but like this does seem like if you're gonna play Mind's Eye, this is about as good a deck that you can possibly make to play Mind's Eye.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
definitely seems fun. I note that this deck was published, I think, over a year ago. So I think it would have been before Edge of the Earth cards came out.
Oh yeah, it got a lot
so,
more
like,
tools there now.
Yeah, so
Oh,
there's definitely
yeah.
so definitely more options you
What
can throw in
kind
there
of
related to
cards
that.
could we add from Edge of the Earth?
I don't know. I have to remember what all the Edge of the Earth
You
cards
could
are.
play,
Colin. I just wanted to point out that
Survivor.
we could use them.
Survivor.
There's
Cause
like
card.
that card that lets you add charges. You can put that on like.
Oh yeah. Winds of Power.
Well, this is
Right.
this
Pretty
is
good.
secrets. Does that add secrets too?
It does not.
Good call.
But,
It does
but
not.
you have but you have Enraptured, and you have, although Enraptured, see the thing is, I think Enraptured is one where it would be difficult to commit it if you're consistently using your will to investigate. So that's another card I might think about cutting, but I don't know though. I mean, it's in here. Like we got to assume that maybe there is a way to play it. But you have Enraptured, and you can chuck additional copies of Mind's Eye, so I think you could keep it going that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could also just corner it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I also
With
I
the
didn't
boost
look at like if this card has any like this deck has like additional draw to like make her Psycho deck even faster. If it does, obviously that
I
helps.
really need that for Patrice though. I mean, you're getting.
She cycles her deck like every 7 turns or 8 turns or whatever, but just by like not trying. But then anything on top of that can make it go faster. But usually I don't worry about that either. All right, so let's go to the last deck. Because we've been talking about these for a while, and yeah, we have some other business to get to. So this is called the World's Worst Mandy deck.
Oh, God.
It's by Sub-Zero Joe, and I think they made it as in response to a challenge from Nate from Lost in Time and Space that you can possibly make a bad Mandy Thompson deck, and they kind of rose to the challenge here. This is not actually a good deck. I just thought it was very funny.
Oh really? Really? No, it's not good then. You're saying?
It's not secretly good, even though Mandy is in here. It is not secretly good. It has one of everything. It says versatile and has force learning, so that her deck's even bigger.
It has underworld support as well.
It has every bad Seeker card.
I think the only disappointment for me with this deck is that they didn't go with a 50 card Mandy deck. But with Underworld support, I honestly don't know if that is actually like a thing that you can do. I don't know if you can fit, what is it, like 60 cards?
What is Underworld?
Got our one-ups?
It is a 50 card Mandy deck. Underworld support makes it 45.
Yeah.
That's right. It is really impressive that this isn't even trying to make the biggest Mandy deck possible, and it's still terrible.
Well,
like,
if you made it bigger, you might have to start putting in like good Seeker cards. Like you.
That's true. Yeah, there are. It takes a lot of work to avoid all of the good Seeker cards.
Because this also avoids like anything that can search. It has like one-ofs of like cards that you need multiples of, like myriad cards.
Oh yeah, open gate. Get that one value open gate in there. Hell yeah.
So I guess the question is we have a card to reveal from the Secret Keys, and this card alone I don't think will make this deck better or playable. I may technically make it better if you put it in.
Extra chat says if you made the deck a base 50 Mandy deck, it would probably make the deck better because then you'd have to start putting good cards in your deck.
Yeah.
Yes, probably true.
So
it is. Yeah, I'm glad we're talking about this. Obviously, it's like a troll deck, right? Like you wouldn't actually play this, but we've talked so much in previous episodes about all of the like bonkers, amazing Mandy decks that you can play and how much fun they are and how much we all love them. All three of us. It feels fun to look at the other side of the coin on that and talk about like, well, it is possible to make a not very good Mandy deck if you really work at it.
I played a Mandy deck too.
You did?
All four of us, not just all 3 of us.
yeah.
That is true. Yeah, Colin, what was your Mandy experience like playing Mandy recently? Good time, fun times.
It was real good. Even like like acknowledges by Dane's like dislike of the Queen's Pendant or whatever, I did put in the deck. It was still amazing. It still got all the clues and stuff. It was
Well, the pendant is absurd. So
Yeah, I think the best part about this deck is that it's not something that incentivizes me to get up and walk away from the desk while Dan takes 10-minute medi turns. That I could just sit here and watch him flail. And I mean, he could get clues. It's just like Captain Farnese said. It's still investigate 5, right?
it's true.
Exactly. Yeah, this is still better than most Survivor decks, honestly. I mean, I just want to throw out there. I love Mandy. Mandy's great. I hope they never ban or nerf Mandy. Keep it coming. It's amazing. We love what you're doing, Mandy. Keep it up. That's all I have to say about this.
There's got to be a taboos coming soon. I don't know if we'll see Mandy on it again.
Yeah, I think maybe they should probably take Scrapper up to like 5 XP. I think 'cause it's a little too good, right?
I feel like you're confused the purpose of the taboo last stand. All right, so Colin, I guess quickly, what do you want to rate this deck? How many cabbages?
This is real bad. This is 0 cabbages.
Oh,
Zero
zero
cabbages.
cabbages.
Zero cabbages.
I don't have a graphic for that either.
Stinky cabbages.
But if we had another scale that wasn't about how wholesome and good the deck is, but about how like impressively creatively awful it was, it would be like 5 out of 5 on whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the opposite of a cabbage, Colin?
Like
Good question.
it's like a slab of like.
What about a coconut? Because it grows above the ground, it's sweet, and it's like hard instead of kind of like soft and leafy.
Sultry says a potato.
But that's also
5
maybe.
potatoes.
Kind of.
Isn't it an eggplant is sort of like a potato but purple in terms of nutritious value.
You have to boil cabbages and potatoes. So
What about isn't a meatball kind of like a meat cabbage kind of? Like I'm trying to think of something that's similar to a cabbage but made out of meat.
I don't know how to eat meatball anymore, Dan. I'm vegetarian.
You
Hacks coming in with the rutabaga.
Yeah, that could be it. Well, whatever it is, whatever it is, 5 out of 5 of those for being a hilariously and creatively bad deck.
All right, let's move on to looking at this card that FFG provided to us. That is from the upcoming sort of announced Scarlet Keys campaign expansion.
At some point.
There's still no actual FFG article about it, but there's like a tweet about it, and obviously MJ and Duke have talked about it a bunch. And we've seen, I think we've seen some spoilers. Mythosbusters spoiled one of the investigators a couple weeks ago, Charlie Kane. So his cards are floating out there. But let's take a look at this card. It is in fact a Seeker card. Some people have gotten from the chat, and here it is. So this is Captivating Discovery. It is a level
in your background.
Yeah, that is the art by Stephen Summers of Rex falling off a ladder, I think, while making an amazing conspiracy map, which I always approve of. So the card itself is a level 0 Seeker event. It's cost 1, has an intellect and agility icon on it, and it is an insight, like every Seeker, like every single Seeker event. So the ability is search the top 6 cards of your deck. You may place up to 3 of your clues on your location. For each clue placed in this way, choose and add 2 of the searched cards to your hand. Shuffle your deck. And there's a quote that says, "Don't you realize what this means? Why don't you calm down and tell me very slowly?" I assume
don't push your ladder off the wall and probably break your skull.
He's unlucky.
I think
it's.
His glasses are already falling.
He's already
downhill.
This is like a half a second after he's realized he's solved the puzzle. Like he's looking at a little piece of paper, but he's lost his balance because he's holding it up to like whatever map he has on the ceiling or whatever.
Oh yeah, he's flying out of here.
I gotta say, I think we've joked before that the average Seeker card, if you were to just kind of like randomly generate one, is like a card where the title means something like learn information or find something out.
Yeah.
And the art is like a person looking at books or maps or pages, and it like is an insight that gets you cards, right? And this checks all of those boxes. Like the title of the card, Captivating Discovery, it sounds really similar to Astounding Revelation.
Right, exactly.
Connect the dots, and we love it. That's just Seeker bullshit. We love it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean the card itself is pretty interesting. I mean, I threw that joke Mandy up Mandy deck up ahead of time because obviously she can. It's another search effect she could use, so she can I think pay less clues or look to get more cards or look at more cards, and when she does the search. But in general, it definitely seems very neat because
Yeah.
seekers are good at getting clues. They're good at drawing cards. This kind of accelerates both. Well, accelerates the latter.
Like,
Yeah.
Neil Diamond can use it for free. Like,
That's
Neil
true.
Diamond.
Or Joe
Popular
Diamond.
guest.
Joe Diamond. Yeah.
Joe Diamond.
Neil's brother or Neil's great grandfather
Yeah.
or something.
I think the thing that I think is interesting about this card is that, like, so Mandy generally, like when Dan plays Mandy, there's just the line of text that Mandy's effect is just that, like, she gets to pick an additional card,
Yeah.
and you kind of forget about the 3 extra cards that she can grab, and like this is worded in a way where if you were to explicitly use it for the express purpose of putting down 3 clues to get like 6 cards, you actually do want to use her ability for the extra 3 cards rather than the extra card, because if you put down 3 clues, you could only get up to 6 cards, and it would just be like a whiff kind of in that perspective anyway. So it's kind of interesting in that way too.
Mandy can get 3 extra cards, just 1 extra card from this.
She can search 3 extra cards, and then that gives her more
Exactly.
options for which ones she picks to put into her hand. It is interesting that it doesn't, you don't draw them, as Chat's mentioning, so you can't trigger.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah.
I gotta say, I do wish that it was like look at 7 cards, because then you could drop 3 clues and with Mandy get all 7, which would probably be more fun than like looking at 8 and picking 6 or whatever. But
Yeah,
I mean
it's
it is like I think it's definitely a pretty solid card. I'm not sure if it would fit into like the most min-maxed Mandy decks, because the thing is, there's this guy called Mr. Rook that is really, really good, and
Oh, yeah?
the goal is just kind of to trigger him every turn, and then you get to trigger Mandy without spending an action, because this does cost an action, right? Like, it's not fast, but I mean, you could definitely put this in a very good Mandy deck, and it would be really good.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
Roko's
You
Lacoste
can-
experience. This is level 0, so
That's true. Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, I mean, you can technically, and this is just completely random thought, you could technically like drop 0 clues and still search the top 6 cards to trigger like research
Oh.
things, right?
Mm.
if you wanted to.
And in fact, I'm not actually sure how the timing would work in this, but remember Mandy's signature card is another secret card that means like find something out. I forget what it's called, but it's the one. Is that Shocking Discovery? I don't know, but
Shocking Discovery is her treachery or her weakness.
Okay. But see, the names all sound kind of similar. But it's a research card where you immediately discover a clue, right?
Called
Or
evidence.
if you draw it, you can basically spend an action to shuffle it back in. So I wonder how the timing would work out. I think you might be able to like, look at 6 cards, see that one of them is that signature card, decide to drop a clue, knowing that you can resolve that signature and pick it back up. I'm not sure if that works, but it'd be cool if it did.
It looks. I believe. I can never remember. It's not simultaneous because you're doing these in steps. So I think you could place the clues and then add them to your hand. And I don't remember when you trigger the search deck. The search is when you do that.
That's what I'm
No,
wondering.
a called evidence is when you do the search. So that would be before you drop the clues. Unfortunately. I
Okay.
think.
Yeah, that's
So-
well, but you could pick up a clue and then use it to get more cards. So it
Yeah.
would still, like if you only had 2 clues in hand, but you really want to, well, if you had 1 clue in hand and you want to get 4 of these cards plus the research card you're taking, then you could, get it from the research card and then spend 2 clues, drop 2
So-
clues to get 4 of the other 5.
What about other than Mandy? I mean, there's other investigators.
Sorry, break away from the world of Mandy for a
What are
minute.
we talking about here?
So people in chat are mentioning like Roland would be pretty cool with this, right? Because he kind of picks up auto clues, so you can eventually like cash him out, so to speak, for this sort of effect, which is honestly great. Like Guardians again are thirsting for some card draw.
It's true. Yeah.
Do you know who gets an extra clue in his speech featured in this art? It's Rex Murphy.
That is true.
I haven't
You guys
played
are
Rex.
Reasoning that like Rex is
5
so good at
years.
picking up clues, it's less costly for him to drop some now and then, because that kind of makes sense.
Maybe,
yeah.
like, I don't think you need all 6 of the cards you search. You can probably choose 2 of the
Wrong.
You could theoretically not take all 6 cards. Like maybe there's weaknesses in there or some other reason you don't want to pull them in. But I don't know. I think like a lot of the time you're gonna want to like drop 2 and 3 because a lot of your secret cards are gonna help you pick up those clues more efficiently anyway. Did we mention like Roland or Trish? Like this is a way to like Trish can automatically pick up the clues again using her passive. Roland obviously he kills monsters to pick the clues back up, or you can. This is a way to, like someone mentioned in chat, like if his weakness is out near the end of the game, there's no clues to pick up because you're holding them already. You can dump them and pick them back up.
Oh yeah. Well, so Batboy mentioned wild speculation. Do we want to speculate about the Secret Investigator? More generally, do we want to do any completely baseless theorizing or speculating about, like, could this card be an example of any like kind of mechanical themes that we're going to see in the new set or anything like that? Like, do we think that there's going to be like is the kind of Seeker mechanical theme in this set going to be clue dropping, for instance, or something like that? Maybe not, but I mean,
it very well could be. I think do we think Daryl is the Seeker, or do we think he's the Survivor? I don't remember.
So we don't have a Survivor main like 0 to 5 and a Seeker 0 to 2 yet. And that's sort of what I was thinking would suit Daryl, but he could be the Seeker. I'm not honestly sure.
We also have Vincent in there, and he could kind of slip into Survivor as like a healer type Survivor. Yeah. Charlie Kane's obviously neutral. There's two purely new investigators. One of them is like a phone operator, and she looks kind of mysticky in her art, I think. And the other one is like we don't know what their deal is, other than like their art is they're maybe driving or something. They're possibly driving, but who's the other person that is in the expansion?
All right, Sultry dropped the L word in chat.
Oh,
now we have to talk about Luke.
Luke has super cards.
That's very funny. Like Luke could drop the clues in his like clue zone or in his gate zone, and then it despawns. Oh jeez.
I mean,
and you're stuck.
It could be good in some ways because you could play it to avoid dropping clues on a victory location or something.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm trying to find. I can't remember who the sixth investigator is, but I don't know. I kind of like the idea that maybe Daryl, like, he has a camera, so other than him being required to like run 2 Hawkeye folding cameras all the time, maybe his special camera will like let him pick up extra clues when he does stuff. So he's like motivated to have clues on the ground to like be able to take pictures or something. I don't know. I don't have much speculation on that end.
Oh, it's Carson, the butler.
Carson. Oh yeah, he seems. I mean, I don't remember his backstory. Is he basically Batman's butler? Is he basically
Alfred?
Alfred, yeah. Is that his deal?
Maybe.
He could be a guardian or a survivor, maybe. I don't know. Hopefully some of the other cards that are previewed over the next couple weeks will give us more hints. So
yeah, I mean, for now though, we've got other cards like Quick Study and Inquiring Mind, right? This kind of would turn on Inquiring Mind. Should you have 2 in your deck, you can kind of like reliably have clues on a location, right? So that's not bad.
Yeah.
I wish this card was fast though. That'd be really cool.
I mean, fast draw 6 cards seems would be very, very powerful.
I mean, that's kind of the dirty secret about the secret card pool. It's like, as good as this card is, it's like, oh, I don't know. A non-fast card has to be so good for me to put it into a deck at this point. Like, this is really solid and I might play it, but like, there's so many cards that you can just draw cards and do stuff with that don't take you any actions at all. It's like, ooh, do I really want to spend an action on this? I mean, maybe, but
I mean, there's stuff that turns on.
Let's spend more action with getting the clues back.
There's the bird card that makes insights fast or whatever, right?
Foresight, yeah, Batboy in chat.
Yeah. I think Parallel Roland can also play something fast. I think it's tactics and maybe insights. I don't remember. But yeah,
I don't remember all of his special cards.
Wait, who is this?
Parallel Roland. One of his
Oh,
directives
yeah,
gives him the ability
forget
to
about that.
play some events fast by some means.
So I mean, there's ways to make it fast. So if you can think of a way to utilize that, that just increases its power. So, I'm sure people can speculate more about its power. I guess we're now going to force Colin to attempt to use this card and make a deck with it. or at least has it in there on the spot. Not on the spot, but you know.
Does that sound all right to you,
now.
Colin? Like, is this card interesting enough to activate your Colin preferences?
I mean, it's not that good, but I think we can work with it. I think we're bringing Rex Murphy back. I think.
Oh.
We're bringing Rexy back, right?
In Eldritch Horror, he was like really, really Colin, but then like they made him too good in Arkham cards, but then they nerfed him with the taboo. So I think we're bringing him back for Captivating Discovery.
He's still pretty solid.
I would love to hear from Chad if anybody still plays Rex, because I kind of like just put him down.
I haven't played Rex since they nerfed him because I was like other Seekers have an ability and are interesting. But I mean, Rex does have the Dunwich 5, so he can do some weird stuff where he can grab cards outside of class. He doesn't have 5 intellect though, which is a little rough for when every other Seeker does.
Not, but, like, there's a lot of stuff that we can give him, like Doctor. The nerf Dr. Milan Christopher, who's
the main. Honestly, like I do think Rex is really fun. The main argument for not playing him is just that stupid weakness and how annoying it is. Like it's not even that it's bad; it's just so frustrating to deal with.
No, but Rex can take scavenging ice picks.
Okay, great.
Someone forgot about it.
You just spend so much time drawing extra chaos tokens and still passing the skill test. It's
yeah, that's like it doesn't make him fail most of the time. It's just the extra time there.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, Rex Murphy. So is there any like base level cards you want to put in here? Well, do we want to put?
We definitely want, especially with 4 intellect, we want magnifying glasses. Those are just like almost an auto include for Seekers.
The core.
And we're making level 0 deck, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll give them some magnifying glasses.
So your hand slots are probably spoken for at this point.
Yeah, I mean we could put fingerprint kits in, but I think that magnifying glasses are fine. And with captivating discovery, we're gonna find those magnifying glasses and install them real quick.
Well, I mean, the thing about captivating discovery is it's not going to be quite as good at helping you find stuff early because you can't play it until you have some clues, but you can still, you can pick up a couple clues and then blast one of these probably.
Yeah, I think, and if anybody's in chat who's played Rex recently, is the burglary thing, like the 2 splashable cards, the burglar, or maybe 1 or whatever it was, is that still a thing, or was that like just kind of a thing for a minute, and then once he got nerfed, it's like, maybe we'll just like move to other cooler things, like scavenging and ice picks.
I feel like it's probably less good now that you only get to trigger Rex's thing once per turn, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because it used to be like it made sense to spend one of your actions to basically get 3 money and a clue, but now it's like if that's your only activation of Rex every turn. I mean, it's not bad. It's just it might not be worth the amount of setup and the 2 off-color card slots.
So I'm seeing a lot of suggestions to use lockpicks with scavenging with him. What do we think about that?
We want we don't want burglar anymore because we got Faustian Bargain. We want to put that in the deck.
Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah, that's okay. That's
yeah.
Well, but
yeah.
The lockpicks thing is interesting to me because if you can play magnifying glasses, if you want to investigate multiple times a turn, like can't you just pass by a lot with like, you could get the tarot card, you can commit a lot of things like perception. Like you're a seeker. Do you really need lockpicks? Especially when his agility is only 3?
Ice picks.
Oh, okay.
You can get like level 3 ice pick. I don't know about level 1, but level 3 you can constantly trigger that and get an extra clue and then like scoop it back up with scavenging.
Yeah, I forgot he's one of the investigators who can do that. Oh,
I thought people were saying like lockpicks to trigger scavenging, but yeah, that doesn't make sense. Ice picks makes more sense.
Yeah, but
Pax and Chad is throwing out like if you want big money on him, you can use Jeremiah plus all the 0 cost.
Well, that's actually that's maybe a thing that we should try to figure out early is what ally are we going with, because there are a lot of good choices. Colin, do you have any thoughts? Because if you do want to do Jeremy, that's going to affect like which cards you select based on the cost. If you do want to pick something else like Guillermo, Dr. Milan, or William Mellison, or any of those guys, like that's also going to affect the other cards.
Oh yeah, Mellison is another drop clue thing, right? People were mentioning it.
Yeah, is there other cards that we can combo with that to do like weird drop a bunch of clues, pick up a bunch of clues stuff?
You can get Alice.
There's the what is it? There's a card that's like you drop clues to boost your skill by a lot during a test, which that might be more fun than
Oh
Malice.
yeah,
So
quick thinking.
because keep in mind like
Not quick thinking.
like clue dropping. Yeah, I forget what
Quick
it's called.
study. Quick study.
Quick study. Yeah. Like because dropping clues it's one of these themes where like if you want to build your deck around it, that doesn't mean you want to play every card that does it because you still only have so many clues. You want to maybe have like a few cards in your deck that can drop clues for benefits, but I don't know if you necessarily want to play like every card that does that, you know?
Well, what about cards that benefit from having clues on a location? So like maybe you have a reason to like quickly drop clues, play some other card, and then pick them back up.
Inquiring Mind is one that you kind of generally want. Yeah. Normally, like Inquiring Mind for me is like a one of, but this I feel like if you're dropping clues and like you're using quick study and stuff like that,
it's borderline normally, but yeah, I'd play one or two of them in this just because it does synchronize pretty well with what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean,
Speaking of spell cards, we got to auto include deduction level 0.
Oh yeah, Preposterous Sketches is another one that needs clues on locations too.
Yeah. Sketches is like, I don't know, do you want the level 0 version? Like, because I could see upgrading to the level 2 version, which is free, but paying 2 for it is
I guess yeah, Sketches is like almost like a worse Captivating Discovery. I mean, huge quotes around it.
That's one thing we didn't mention yet is Captivating Discovery is also kind of like a super level 0 No Stone Unturned, except that it costs clues. It's kind of another interesting comparison.
Yeah. And people are saying Truth from Fiction in chat. Truth from Fiction adds secrets to things. So you could do like some secret shenanigans if you wanted to make it like a Necronomicon deck or some ridiculous thing like that.
What do we need that has secrets though? What can we add?
So there's Mr. Rook, which you probably don't really need in this, considering it's tabooed. There's the what's the new thing from Edge of the Earth? It's like an accessory that lets you spend an action to move or investigate. I think that costs the Eon chart. Like that does cost money or cost XP, I think, but it might be fun in this deck, especially if you don't have another idea for I was going to say if you don't have another idea for an accessory, but you could play Cigarette Case in Rex, and that's usually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, and keep in mind we can always throw in, in the thick of it if we really want like a couple experience things like an Eon chart or something. But
Eon chart is specifically secrets, right?
Yeah, it is.
Which would kind of feel the whole secret thing.
We probably want Cigarette Case. It's probably worth the Dunwich 5 include.
Let's throw it on there for now. We can always throw it out.
Especially, because if you're investigating enough and you're trying to succeed by 2 anyway for Rex's ability, like it's just it's really hard to not play Cigarette Case, I think, in Rex.
Yeah. Oh, also.
So do we want the 5th to be a Scavenging the combo with Ice Pick? Because why are we including Ice Pick if we're not using Scavenging at all?
I feel like we should use Scavenging. We don't have Ice Pick yet because it is level 3.
You also, like, as great as Faustian Bargain is, you might not absolutely need it. Like, if you're playing cheap enough cards, you might be able to, because remember, like, you have Crack the Case, which is an incredible card, right? So and Crack is great with dropping clues, right? Because you could be in a high shroud location.
I forgot.
You could
Harrison mentioned that the other day.
And drop a clue and do it again.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, we definitely want Crack the Case in there. Maybe get rid of the Faustian Bargain and have 2 Scavenging.
Seems cool.
We've got too many non-secret cards right now, so
I guess let's back up. Do we want to run an ally? Do we want a secret ally, or do we go to splash?
I like the Alex Luxley kind of neat.
Can you show us all the level 0 allies? Well, not all of them because the Dunwich, but all the seeker level 0 allies, Ben. I think it's like K ally or no Z ally slot.
Yeah.
So
these are all the level 0 seeker or neutral allies. Art Student, Charles, Ellie, Milan. Melson. How do you say the last name? Dr. William.
Do you have the filter set up right? I only see like secret allies in this.
Yeah, I'm not. I filtered out. I haven't added the other classes. So if you want to look at the other classes, we can. But
what is Colin? You got a lot of good options here, and you could definitely go for something that's more exciting and less boring than what I would pick. But I think if it was me, like I might just play Dr. Milan here because you kind of want the int boost. You kind of want the int boost. You're gonna get money because you're gonna try to investigate successfully once every turn anyway with Rex. And I mean, there's other good options, but like Dr. Milan is really good.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's like a what does William Webb do? What's he do?
Oh yeah.
What does he even do?
Oh, he's
Oh well, he does use
really
secrets,
bizarre.
but
Use
he,
secrets.
he's kind of weird.
I can't tell what he's doing because you don't scroll over him. Choose an item card in your discard pile, like ice picks maybe use him instead of
Yeah,
when you investigate, you can spend a secret, and instead of getting a clue, you get an item from your discard pile, put it back in your hand, or discover a clue to connecting location. So it'd be an alternative to scavenging. I don't know if you need him and scavenging.
It's
well,
it
yeah,
doesn't
you definitely
play
don't
it doesn't
know.
play the item. It just puts it in hand, so it's kind of worse, right?
Well, scavenging does that too.
level 0 doesn't.
Oh.
Scavenging level like whatever lets you play it. I think that Milan is still better. You can't really go on with
Yeah.
Milan.
Does the upgraded William Webb work like upgraded scavenging? Because that might be worth. You could like upgrade from Dr. Milan to upgraded William Webb if there is one.
Is
No, I
there
think
an
it's you do
upgrade
both.
William Webb?
Okay.
So the upgraded one doesn't replace
Yeah.
the discover a clue by default. It
mean,
lets you get the
Webb-
item.
Web would be good if you want to like get newspaper back and commit it, but I think that for ice picks, upgraded scavenging is way better because you just get to play it immediately.
Well, but he can't get upgraded scavenging, right? Because it's
You're
Well,
right.
Ice Pick is also fast, so it doesn't really
okay.
matter that it
Yeah.
goes through.
yeah.
And Milan gives you the $1 to play it, right? Again,
That's
so,
true. Yeah, I mean, Web
Milan I feel is just the best.
Web is pretty solid with ice pick then, and it would
Yeah.
work with Truth from Fiction, but I don't know. You lose that int bonus that you get from Dr. Milan, so it's a
Yeah,
tough
that's the thing.
call.
I think that Milan is the best choice. I think you want that int bonus, especially with only 4 int for Rex, and you want to succeed by 2.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That is also true.
Okay.
We almost should consider not like bothering with ice pick and scavenging, but we're definitely going to include them.
I was about to say you're gonna break Dane's heart, Colin, talking like that.
I mean, I like Ice Pick and Scavenge, don't get me wrong, but it feels like it's just so ubiquitous. Like, if you can take it, you should take it at this point. It's almost feeling for me like Rex. And I'm a little scared that they're going to taboo it in such a way where it's just like, okay, I guess
Are there any other items? And also we can get eventually upgraded magnifying glass, so we can put it back in our hand to play an ice pick.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
might be a lot of
Very
weird
solid.
bouncing. Yeah. I have a question. Do we want to put in the thick of it in here and then immediately include level 3 ice pick?
We're not actually playing this deck, so why not? That's only one ice pick.
Great mentality.
one Ice Pick is better than 0 Ice Pick.
Yeah, right. Do we still want 2 magnifying glasses then, or do we want to cut one of them?
We definitely want 2 magnifying glasses.
Okay. All right.
So I think we've basically filled up most of the slotted assets at this point, right? Like we're probably mostly adding like either unslotted assets or events and skills. Is that right?
Yeah.
And we have to remember that we have 2 captivating discoveries, even though we can't.
Yeah, I'm trying to pick a card that we definitely will not put in the
Ghastly
deck.
Revelation
Two guidance,
sounds kind of like
guidance.
Captivating Discovery.
Oh, sure, that too. Yeah.
Someone said deep knowledge. Let's include deep knowledge and have that be captivating discovery. It's a straw. It's the same thing.
Fair enough. Yeah.
So it features a guy with glasses, but he's not falling. So sure, we'll
This is a before and after shot. It definitely that's what it looks like anyway. Moments before and then right after.
Yeah, all right. So these deep knowledges are captivating discoveries.
Okay.
So what else do we need
you
in
know
here?
perceptions, right? Perceptions are pretty common.
Is there any, before we fill it in with like skills and more skills, is there any more events we want to put in here, or assets that benefit from like scavenging or benefit from like dropping clues to kind of really play off the captivating discovery? Or are we just putting captivating discovery in here because it's new? Truth from fiction.
Well, but at the moment, at the moment you don't really have anything to put secrets on, right? Like if you eventually get the Eon chart, then that would work. But at the moment, you don't really have much going on there.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything right now. You could grab
so one thing you can do that's fun is I think it's the untranslated archaic glyphs. I think you discover you solve it by putting secrets on it. So truth from fiction is basically like a shortcut to doing that. So if you wanted to work towards glyphs, and I would say if this is a multiplayer secret deck, you should you should probably think about glyphs.
Yeah,
Then
so
then you could throw in like at least one truth from fiction just for that purpose if you wanted to.
yeah. Also,
And-
understanding the rabbi.
And keep in mind that the truth from fiction commits really well for investigating, so it can help you pass by 2 on like a high shroud place.
All right.
Yeah,
So why don't
I
we put
mean,
truth and fiction and
I feel
okay,
like
glyphs?
the strange solution would be better, but if you're gonna play multiplayer, you probably just want glyphs anyways. Get all the clues.
It's definitely on brand for MUR.
Once you play Captivating Discovery, you use glyphs to get all those clues back.
If you're doing
Yeah.
search though, are you thinking do you want the what's the Bad Boy
Astounding
said rabbi
Revelation.
in chat, but that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Astounding Revelation, because
Oh.
that also lets you put secrets on things.
Mm.
But if you're doing that, are you also going to be doing like Eureka? Are you going to be doing the good card that searches for practice stuff?
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. It's tough because remember, Astounding Revelation, if you draw it, is very bad, right? So you want to make sure that you have enough search that you'll pretty reliably find it in a search. So I don't know. I feel like if you just have 2 captivating discoveries and 2 like practice makes perfects, that's kind of borderline. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
It depends if you want to lean into the search or not, I guess, right? So
Yeah.
It also
is there a third search card we could add to this deck?
Well,
That would-
here's another thing you could think about. It also depends whether you need money, because if you like, you might just not need that much money, and you might be able to get it with other cards. Like you have Crack the Cases. You
You've got
you could play Cryptic Writings. Yeah, you have Milan, which is great. You could play Cryptic Writings, although I think Cryptic Writings is actually sort of bad with Captivating Discovery, because with Captivating Discovery you don't draw the cards. So like you can't, draw Cryptic Writings and immediately play it on your turn. I think. Let me remind myself how Cryptic Writings works. Yes, it's reaction after you draw Cryptic Writings during your turn, play it. So if you
because
find
you
it,
only add it to your hand.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah.
Oh.
Maybe we don't go with the search cards in this deck, and we add some other one of the many good secret cards that exist.
I mean, what is the Dunwich 5 right now? Is it just
Uh,
scavenging?
We've got Lucky Cigarette Case. They've got Scavenging. I think
Yeah,
we've got
so-
one. We've got one. We got rid of all. We got rid of all the.
We currently have 4 off slots.
Keep in mind
Okay.
you can throw in like 1 Deny Existence or something if you have that extra slot. Like that's pretty solid. Or a ward, although I think 4 warned would be pretty good in this deck eventually because you're dropping clues.
Yeah, you could also take take the initiative if you're planning on doing the practice makes perfect thing. I don't know what other practice cards there are that are pretty good for this, but yeah.
Do we want practice
Enrap-
act perfect here or
Enraptured is practice, which you could get with Dunwich 5, but that wouldn't really be good until
that's
you
right.
get something. That's not good until you get something you want to put secrets on. Although it can also put charges on.
You're
glyphs.
getting glyphs though, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. One Enraptured isn't the worst idea. Other things that are practiced, perception and deduction are big ones. Survey the area, although that's not great for Rex, and it doesn't really work with practice makes perfect anyway.
What are we doing? Are we doing search in this deck?
I mean, Captivating Discovery is search by itself.
yeah, it's just do we want
That's the only reason why I brought it up.
I don't know if the rewards for fully committing to search are going to be worth it for you, really. But I mean, it's up to you, Colin. I mean, do you want to go for more search stuff?
I think we don't put practice and make perfect in the deck. I don't think it's worth committing to the search. I think we've got enough draw with Lucky Cigarette Case and Captivating Discovery to get the stuff, and we just get some more like boosts to search.
I don't think I understand what the word enough means, and I understand what the word draw means, but when you put them together, I find it very difficult to understand that combination of words. But we'll leave that aside for now.
So good point in chat. Enraptured appears to have a guy that looks kind of like Rex.
I am
So-
blown away by that. I had no idea it was Rex.
I mean, he has a different outfit. He's got a purple outfit on, but looks very much like him, I guess.
He's got his Mystic outfit on. He's just
His Mystic outfit.
Colin, just thinking about other sort of like utility cards you might want to think about playing. What do you think about putting in like 1 Logical Reasoning, maybe?
I think that's
Um,
always a good choice for, especially because we're working with clues here, and I mean,
Oh
someone's
yeah,
gonna
you.
say
and then
damage.
do you want truth from fiction? Because I think I don't see. Oh no, you got it. Sorry,
No,
that's my
it's an
bad.
event. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got. Looks like we have 5 more deck slots. If we keep everything we put here.
I mean, we still have practice makes perfect in the deck. Are
Oh, I
we
do.
gonna
Oh,
have
you want to take that out?
There's also perception. It's pretty good. You could throw a couple of those in there,
if we're
maybe.
gonna keep practice make perfect in the deck, we probably want perception.
Well, yeah. Do you want to keep it or not, Colin?
I think we try getting rid of practice make perfect and enraptured for now, and we look for other stuff, and maybe we put it back if we can't find stuff.
All right, I'll put him in the. Oops, that didn't go. I'll put it in the side deck. All right, then.
Colin, what about you? Ever wish you could move a little faster? Ever wish you could just instantly move to an adjacent space?
I often wish I could do that, or I could let someone else move additional space, like
That too.
class. I think maybe shortcut.
That's like an auto include for me, I think.
If you've got
All right. Well, anything else we want to throw in here? Do we? Is there something extremely obvious that we've completely forgotten about? Probably. That's usually how it goes.
expected courage. Let's put some courage in
do
there.
you want courage or perceptions or any other
Do you want
cantrip
plans?
cards?
Doorknobs, perhaps.
Do you want any defensive stuff, or do you want to assume that someone else is
matters.
handling that?
It really depends. That's the kind of decision that you can make like once you find out what group you're going to be in. Like you can either take out a couple of your worst cards and put in doorknobs or put them back in or something, because it's like some groups you might want, some you don't.
Let's definitely put in courage. We can always use.
I do definitely think of doorknob as like a classic Rex card because it came out in Dunwich and it just always seems like Rex's kind of vibe. But yeah. Someone in chat saying true understanding.
Oh, I like that card. That's the one that gives you one symbol, and then when you succeed at treachery, you get a clue. I think.
It's an ability. It's an ability printed on a scenario card.
Right.
Which is it's a card that I like always want to try to use, and I always end up cutting it. But it might be worth a try.
It's always like the 31st card, but I think that
Yeah.
as many ways to get clues in this deck because you're going to be dropping them is great. Yeah, exactly. You can pick up the clue you drop without an action, which is pretty nice. So maybe we kind of want to lean towards that. Yeah, that's it. Oh, it's got Daryl on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is this Daryl or is it just the guy with the camera? I don't remember what Daryl's face looks like.
He's got that tie. Right?
He looks very old and kind of pale.
Well,
Would they think to include Daryl? He's kind of a lesser known investigator.
Isn't he? I mean, that they have art from like Eldritch and Arkham Second Edition and all that, so that like sometimes that's where we see art of investigators from. So.
I think Daryl was added kind of late in Eldritch, but
so you've got 2 card slots left unless you want to remove something, and you do have 1 wild color slot left. So you could put in, some kind of utility card like a Deny Existence. You could put the Enraptured back in. You could grab you could grab 1 Faustian Bargain if you think you need money or you want to play it on other people. You got a lot of options.
I don't think we have too many expensive cards, so maybe the Deny Existence to be good for this deck.
It looks like most of your cards are 1 or 2 at most.
Not a real cop. I was wondering the same thing. I was like, why does this have an agility icon on it? And my guess is that he's going so fast for propelling himself off this wall with the ladder.
He's gonna do a backflip.
He might.
I mean, I think it's like they don't like to put 2 of the same symbol on a level 0 card because it's like pretty powerful. So they're like, intellect and some other random symbol a lot of the time. I think.
Intellect and a wild would have been neat, right? Because then
even that is like really good on a level 0 card.
Is there a card that we admit maybe like what kind of for scavenging, like what kind of symbols does like furs have?
Furs?
Oh, heavy furs. Heavy furs has a combat symbol.
Oh, really? That's awful.
Yeah.
Well, but
it's not great for him.
I was gonna say though, there is you said you wanted a doorknob maybe, right? And I've got a plan because we don't have one currently.
Oh, we don't have doorknob.
We
Mine
have
don't matter either way.
we don't have much defensive stuff at all for enemies at least.
Let's put a doorknob in there, and that will give us something. We have
Alright.
ice, also very good for. We'll
So-
definitely give that.
Well, I mean, it helps you
So-
deal damage, I guess, but you still have to use your base fight, which
So adding one doorknob takes us to 30 cards. Should we read this initial list and then see if there's any last minute changes we want to do, or what do you guys think?
yeah, let's do that.
Arcade Glyph's a hand slot. Does it become arcane when you upgrade
It becomes an arcane when
Yeah,
you
it does,
upgrade
yeah.
it, but it's a hand
Okay.
initially.
Yeah, I think it's sort of fine because you're gonna discover it quickly and then it goes away, so it won't just sit there.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So we've got this Rex Murphy deck. We have 2 Archaic Glyphs, 1 level 3 Ice Pick, 2 Magnifying Glass, 2 Lucky Cigarette Case, 2 Dr. Mullen Christopher, 2 Scavenging. We have it in the thick of it to pay for that Ice Pick. And then we have for events, 1 I've Got a Plan, 2 Crack the Case, 2 Captivating Discovery, 1 Deny Existence, 1 Logical Reasoning, Search for Truth. This is signature card, 2 Shortcut, 2 Truth and Fiction, and then skills, 2 Deduction, 2 Inquiring Mind, 2 True Understanding, and 2 Unexpected Courage. Yeah, I mean, I think this deck will be good at getting clues and good at recurring Ice Pick. It definitely does
I think
not have too much
especially-
defensively. So
Once you upgrade glyphs, this is going to be like a monster clue getting deck, I think. And you're
Yes.
going to be able to just like drop 3 clues to get 6 cards and then immediately pick up 8 clues and come out ahead.
Yeah.
So it seems
Yeah, I
pretty
really think it's
fun.
going to be pretty solid. I kind of like the idea, instead of the deny, what about like a winging it or something? Just because it's like an interesting, different card. Other than just like okay, here's a ward of protection.
It just-
Yay.
I mean, it just seems like you have access to so many cards in your class that help you get clues. It's like, do you really need to spend one of your rare off class slots to do it?
you don't
I just
need
got
it, but you might go over your hand slots a lot, or your deck, your
Well,
hand size a lot.
What do you think, Colin? You've got that kind of one wild off class slot that we're talking about.
I don't think we need more clue getting from winging it. I think that's kind of very limited. We don't have a way to like. We
Fair.
don't have a way to like after using it discard pile to put it back in our hand. So I think we just go with the Deny Existence to have some extra utility.
So in that case, any last minute changes, or are we happy with the deck as it is?
So Esaldrich is questioning, what does the icons graph look like? The icons on our like commit symbols and things like that.
it's most icons is mostly intellect. There's
It's like 50 million elections.
there's a good chunk of wild. Some of those are like Inquiring Mind, and then there's some willpower and basically no
Yeah, cost
agility
looks
or
great.
combat.
Look at that cost. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Mostly zeros.
pretty cheap.
Love it.
The only expensive thing is like Mon.
Makes you wonder if we need Milan for this.
Oh,
I
well, that's another thing you could put in. You could put in a level 0 higher ed, which is like surprisingly good, and then eventually
yeah.
you upgrade to the super incredibly overpowered level 3 version of it. But either way, like I think you're gonna be able to, once you get higher ed, you're gonna be able to spend this money to just pick up even more clues.
Yeah, so what do we get rid of for like a higher ed? Get rid of Truth and Fiction maybe?
Yeah, you could. I mean, you don't totally need to, but like, yeah, if you want to put one in, you could get rid of like a Truth from Fiction maybe, or
That seems like a solid pick, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, and I always forget that Rex's signature is just like can draw you 5 cards in one action.
Clue Sun Zenith.
Yeah, it's
That's ridiculous.
Can we?
So,
What do you
Clue
guys?
Sun Zenith.
Can we call the deck Bringing Rexy Back, or does anyone have a better idea?
I love it.
Well, it's up to Colin in the end.
And
So-
bringing Rexy back is just perfect.
Okay.
Beppo, I was thinking about Scene of the Crime too. The other possibility would be a like an intel report, because you're just gonna have so much money between like
Yeah,
Milan and
I almost thought about working a
Other
hunch
things.
if you think you're gonna have plenty of money, but because you could commit it to get clues with glyphs eventually, or you can just play it for $2 to get a clue. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if it would be fine, but I don't think you absolutely need it.
yeah, I think those are like interesting variations that you could do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely could swap some of these cards out. So the only change we made is I took 1 Truth from Fiction out and put in a Higher Education.
You know, big brain optimization here. Do we need 2 scavengings or just like 1?
It depends on how fast you're going to go through your deck, honestly. And with
that's a
Cigarette
good
Case
point.
plus the 2 things, you might get through it fast enough to find the one.
Yeah, especially like if you're playing the captivating discoveries, that helps you find stuff slightly faster than you otherwise would, and you can eventually get studious too, right? So that also sort of helps you set up faster.
I mean, a lot of the draws also, like, to play captivating discovery, he needs to be able to get clues first, right? So if he's kind of slow to start, I guess he's got Rex ability, so he'll still be able to get clues.
Clues are really
that's
easy.
you start with 4 though, right? Like that's why I was saying like perception isn't bad, because it's like right off the bat you draw a card, you basically automatically get a clue, you know,
Right.
but for no money.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, unless there's unless there's a really great reason to change something, I might leave it as is just because like it looks pretty solid. But you know, so it's up to you, Colin. Are you happy with it as is?
I mean, scavenging is like a book symbol, so you can use it if you have like an extra one to just like minorly boost you. So it's not too bad to have 2 of them.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm not gonna read the deck again because we only made 1 change.
You can,
but
you can trigger 2 scavengings, right? Off of the same investigate. So that's not nothing.
Okay.
Or in the same turn.
Oh yeah.
That's true. I mean, yeah. Eventually, we'll have 2 ice picks, so you know that'll be great.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. So I think we'll call it good.
Looks really fun. This looks like a really cool deck.
I like the spice is like the most mild spice, like, you know, like that you get like Chipotle spice of like true understanding. You know what I mean? It's like
someone's
really
saying
going there.
Someone's saying test draw. You want to fire off a quick test draw, just one, just to see what we get?
Oh, Milan. That's all I need, right? Just
I mean,
you can do like mulligan.
Probably drop the logical, drop the
Truth from Fiction.
true understanding. Yeah, truth from fiction.
I'd probably mull the shortcut also, but I'd probably keep the crack. Yeah.
You want magnifying glasses?
Yeah, I might. You know what? No, I'd probably mull the crack. Like, you know, give me the magnifying glasses. We can worry about money later.
No, we got an ice pick, but no scavenging. No.
Oh no, that's great though. Honestly.
Oh, look at that.
Because ice pick you don't have to crack. Remember, you can just use it for the +1 symbol once a turn, which is fine with Milan, right?
Right.
And then also you've got the cigarette cases to propel you into
to help draw stuff. Yeah, that's pretty solid.
I like it.
Cool. Great job, guys. I think this is a pretty fun one.
Yeah,
is this a 5 cabbage deck, Colin?
This is definitely 5 cabbages.
Hey, we got there.
It's real nutritious.
I love to see it. Yeah, this is a cool deck. I'm eager to see where Scarlet Keys takes Captivating Discovery. I really do want to see more clue picking up and dropping benefits and things. Because if you like, we have Forewarned, which is really strong, right? It's drop a clue and then you just ward something, which is obviously fantastic. So I'd love to see more stuff like that.
I mean, I'll say this: as an overpowered Glyphs Mandy deck, sometimes you run out of clues to pick up. Sometimes you're just kind of sitting around waiting for your people to like kill some big boss or whatever, and you're like, well, I can't help with this. I already picked up all the clues on the map. What am I going to do now? With Captivating Discovery, you can give yourself some extra work to do. So
draw 6 cards.
Exactly. Yeah.
What?
Get some more cards in your hand with extra searches.
But knowing Dan, it would turn into nine cards, and he'd like pull up 9 cards, and I'd leave the table, and I'd come back an hour later, and he might maybe pick 4 out of the 6 cards.
We'd make some magic happen. We'd have some fun. We'd have some fun with it.
Fair. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. Are y'all excited to try out some of these decks? Any cool ones that you found that you want to throw our way? Any deck ideas for Captivating Discovery? I know Sultry was throwing some around in chat using newspaper and stuff. I thought that was super cool. If you want to reach out to us, leave us a comment at comments@mur.fm. Stay current on what we're doing. Follow us on social networks, including Instagram and Twitch, or join our Discord server to hang out. Share with us those deck ideas. We want to hear them. You can find the links to all these over at social.mur.fm. If you really enjoy what we do, we always appreciate a nice review on our favorite podcast source. And Colin, thanks for joining us today. Thanks to everybody listening. And everybody checking us out on Twitch. And we'll catch you all next time.
Bye, everybody.
Before I say bye, I did want to say there are other community creator spoilers on the schedule.
Good catch.
There is a list that has been put together. I think it's bouncing around. I'll share it on our Discord. People haven't found it. I think it's also on Mythos West Discord and probably on the Reddit. But
it basically looks like there's several over the next few days.
Yeah.
So if you stay tuned. You'll see some more spoilers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's one tomorrow, right? The next one would be tomorrow with.
Tomorrow being Friday, Friday, June 24th. There's take a look at the Reddit. I think they're gonna have one up. The mods there will have one playing board games on their YouTube on Sunday the 26th, and John of the Flame on their podcast on Monday the 27th. And I suspect there are some others that are floating around that haven't been scheduled at this time. But so very excited for spoiler season and seeing all these Scarlet Keys cards.
Yeah, baby. Spoiler season is upon us.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to
Thanks for
stop
coming.
the
Bye.
stream. All right. Bye.
See you, everybody.
Take care.